Hello and welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny, Tiger, and
Kitten.
Kitten hiding behind the camera. Uh, and today's date is July 20, 2023. There's quite a bit of things going on today. Um, first off, this guy in front of the camera, most of you might be thinking Bruce Lee. Um, and he was supposed to be Bruce Lee because I don't have a Bruce Lee action figure. Surprising, isn't it? You would think like one of the like me being a Chinese martial art guy, you would think Bruce Lee would be a no-brainer. All these years, never got a Bruce Lee action figure. I seen them around. There's a Bruce Lee action figure by Storm Collectibles that's going for like $120. There's a Bruce Lee action figure done by Diamond Select. That's really a lot cheaper. It's like $35. Uh, but both these companies, Storm Collectible, Diamond Select, have a common issue, which is they do their figures pretty big. And Bruce Lee is not supposed to be a big guy. So if I want a Bruce Lee in my collection, I need that Bruce Lee to look appropriately small next to Batman. Right? Like Bruce Lee can't be as big as Batman. That's just going to be weird. Yeah, that's really is why I don't have an action figure of Bruce Lee because as far as I know, there's never been a Bruce Lee made the proper 6-inch scale to fit in with other stuff. Um, so we are filling in for Bruce Lee with Shang-Chi, but this is not even the movie version of Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is a great movie, by the way. Shang-Chi is Legend of the Ten Ring. Kitten and I watched that movie for like,
Wonderful movie.
I don't know how many times did we watch that, like 20, 30 times?
Many times.
Many times, yeah. Really, really good movie. I highly recommend it. But the movie Shang-Chi doesn't look like Bruce Lee. Like, it doesn't fight like Bruce Lee. Uh, but the comic book version of Shang-Chi is totally ripping off of Bruce Lee. Like it's a Bruce Lee ripoff. Like if any of you ever read the Shang-Chi comic book, it's a guy who, like a Oriental guy who liked to use nunchucks, and he liked to like rip off his shirt before he get into a fight, and he's like covered in muscles. And he's really deadly with all kind of different strikes and 1-inch punch and stuff like that. So yeah, like comic book Shang-Chi is basically Bruce Lee, uh, which is why we have this version of Shang-Chi in front of the camera here. It's, to stand in for Bruce Lee, and he does. I mean, honestly, I still find him too big. Like he is about the same size as a regular 6-inch figure, but Bruce Lee was very small. Like though a lot of people think Bruce Lee was really jacked, and he was. He had a lot of muscles, but he was a tiny little guy. So even this Shang-Chi is kind of too big to be a proper stand-in for Bruce Lee, but it's close as I can get. Um, so why did I just go off like a 10-minute rant about Bruce Lee and action figures and stuff like that? Because today, uh, like 50 years ago today, in 1973, on this day, was the sad day that Bruce Lee died at the age of like 34. Yeah, really sad. You know, martial art legend, taking a nap, never woke up. Uh, so that is one of the reasons why we are sort of giving a little bit of a tribute to Bruce Lee with the opening of today's video. Now, it's not all bad because, well, I mean, Bruce Lee dying is all bad. I'm saying this day is not all bad because in 1969, on this day, was when Apollo 11 landed on the moon with Neil Armstrong on it. So that was that when we first got our people onto the moon. It was on this day, 1969. Pretty cool. Also very cool. Today is Guam Liberation Day. Those if you don't know what Guam Liberation Day is, shame on you, because we tried to ask the Amazon device, and it was totally lost. You know what? These Amazon Echo devices are really racist sometimes. If it's not white related, it doesn't know, right? So it's a little bit offensive. But Guam Liberation Day, Guam is a unincorporated territory of the United States, but it's all the way over there where the Marianas Trench is. Um, so it's actually pretty close to Taiwan, where I came from, and Guam is where Kitten, her family, came from. Uh, so long story short, uh, 1943, during in the middle of the Second World War, Japanese people invaded Guam, invaded the island of Guam, took it over, did a bunch of atrocious things, and then finally, 1944, 1944, July 21st, United States Army, Marine uh, went and took it back, kicked the Japanese people butt out of there. So that is why July 21st, Guam Liberation Day, very important. Uh, it's a lot of cool celebration going on there. If you are from the Pacific Islands, if you are from Guam, then happy Guam Liberation Day. Uh,
Happy Guam Liberation Day.
and yeah, hopefully you get voted in to be Liberation Queen. What does it take to be a Liberation Queen? Is that based on how many Japanese people you kill or something?
No, no, it has to do with fundraising for the
Ah,
liberation and for raising funds for the island of Guam and schooling and all of the things that Guam has available for people.
so they raise funds, and what do those funds go for? Like the children's hospital or
The Children's Hospital and relief for families on Guam since it's over the Marianas Trench. There are a lot of natural disasters such as typhoons and earthquakes, and a lot of the money that is funded, they hope, goes back to the island to help with all the funding that is needed, as well as the United States helps with funding as well. Guam is over the international date line, so it is the 20th of July here. It is the 21st on Guam.
that's right. So that's why it is Guam Liberation Day over there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, fundraising, using those funds for relief and rescue and all that. Whatever fund is left over after that can be used to kick Japanese people's butts. Yeah, stuff like that. No, you don't care. I know I'm a little bit prejudiced against Japanese people sometimes. Uh, considering what their ancestor did to my ancestor, did to Kitten's ancestor, you have to sort of excuse us. Uh, we don't really want to beat up all of them. We just want to beat up most of them sometimes. Uh, at least I eat Japanese food. Anyway, I'm getting like way off track. um, Today's main focus is that today is International Chess Day. International Chess Day was christened by the International Chess Federation, the World Chess Federation, in 1966. A lot of you didn't know this, but when I was in high school, I represented the high school and the province in several chess tournaments. I have a few chess trophies uh, that maybe some of you have seen those uh, in other videos. So I wish I had a proper like a suitable chess themed action figure to show you guys because I remember when I was a kid there was this anime or manga, the Japanese comic book, really old one too, called Dragon's Quest. The Dino the Vulcan basically translates the adventure of Dai. And long story short, in that story, there was a group of warriors. Every one of them was basically themed after a chess piece. So there was a guy who was basically the pawn. So his helmet, his chest plate has a pawn on it, and there was a guy who was the knight. So his headpiece looked like the horse head on the knight chest piece, uh, and those guys were like super cool, especially because I was a chess player as a teenager. So I wish someone would have made an action figure of those. That would be super awesome. But because we don't, all I can do is I'm going to show you guys a character uh, who is an avid chess player in his downtime. And no, I'm not talking about Magneto, although he is definitely in the movie, in the X-Men movie, he was shown playing chess. By the way, the Beast from X-Men also is a chess player, but we are not going to look at the Beast today. No, we are going to do a bit of a deep dive and look at a character that is a little bit far away from the mainstream comic books and cartoons. Who is this guy in red, white, and blue and looking like some kind of commando slash biker? Now, if back in 2020, 2021, you guys were into the computer game scene, you would probably recognize this guy. This guy, his name is Jack Morrison, aka Soldier 76, and he is from the Overwatch video game. Now, Overwatch was really hot around the 2020, 2019. I still have friends that still play it today. Um, I never played Overwatch. It's a little bit after my time, but I have read a lot about Overwatch and I like the story. I like the storyline. Because Overwatch is basically like G.I. Joe. It's a bunch of military people with superpowers. And they represent all kind like they have people from all different nations. They even have a couple of Chinese characters on the team. That's why I really love Overwatch. They definitely have that kind of an equal representation thing going on. And you will find out just how representative they can be as we get through the story of Jack Morrison. Um, but Overwatch is, yeah, like I said, basically G.I. Joe. But G.I. Joe is all American. Like almost everyone on the team is American. But in the case of Overwatch, it's superhero, super soldiers from different nations get together, form a team, and they go around the world liberating people. So if they were there back during in 1944, they would probably be the one that go over there to liberate Guam.
Yay!
So that's another reason why we're showing Jack Morrison, aka Soldier 76, aka the undisputed leader of the team in Overwatch. Now in the game, Jack Morrison is kind of one of those characters that he doesn't specialize in anything. He's good at close quarter, he's good at long range, he's good at a bit of everything, but he's not specialized. So he's very good for new people to play because you don't need to be very tactical when you use that character. He's just kind of easy to use. Um, and of course, being a team leader, he has kind of that cool uh, uh, um, visual, cool status going on with him. Um, his story is pretty long and pretty complicated, so we won't cover the whole thing. But suffice to say, Jack Morrison grew up uh, being one of those very charming, good-looking blonde guy, good at sports, and then he went to the military, and he was chosen for the Super Soldier program, uh, during which he was enhanced with superpower like super speed and healing factor. Like when he got injured, he heals a lot faster. Apparently, he has problems standing up. His action figure, anyway. That really annoyed me. Like when I'm trying to do these videos and the figure just refuse to stay standing. I forgot to grab a action figure stand from the drawer. Usually that's what I do. I grab a stand and just stick them on that. Um, why is Jack Morrison a very good representative of various aspects of uh, minority and stuff like that? Well, number one, a lot of you don't know that, and you will be really surprised that Jack Morrison, aka Soldier 76, aka the brave leader of Overwatch, is gay. Yeah, he uh, was dating a guy named Vincent when he went to the military, and him being in the military actually created some like relationship issue between him and Vincent, and it wasn't like widely talked about in the storyline. Uh, but yeah, the creator of Overwatch has confirmed in an interview that Jack Morrison, the leader of the team, has always meant to be a gay guy. But I mean, how cool is that? Like, most of the time, our perception of someone who is gay is someone who is like feminine looking, or someone who might be artistic and beautiful, or like I hate to bring this up, but when gay people are included in Japanese cartoon, Japanese comic book, they make gay people really weird. Like they got to be like demons or vampires or something. Oh my God. Yeah, like if you look at any kind of representation of homosexuality in Japanese culture, it's always really weird. So it's so cool in Overwatch that they have a gay guy who is good looking, big, buff, strong, uh, leader of the team. And like, until you read his backstory, you have no inclination that this guy is gay. So I think that is pretty cool. That they didn't play into the stereotype of what everyone do to portray homosexual people. Right. Another very interesting aspect about especially this action figure portrays a time of life when Jack Morrison uh, was on the run, being hunted because uh, there was a traitor inside the Overwatch organization, and basically the whole team fell apart. A lot of people died, and Jack Morrison was presumed dead, but he actually survived. He went underground and spent the rest of his day trying to find out who sold out his team. So he put on this new costume, calling himself Soldier 76, and became sort of like a vigilante, you know, lone wolf kind of guy. And that's what the look this action figure is portraying with him no longer blonde and good looking. let me bring him closer to the camera. We have him with a kind of a interesting looking goggle or visors on his face. I think that those visors help him aim his weapon. He got a nasty scar on his face, and his hair is white because when he is known as Soldier 76, he is pretty old. He is like in his mid 60s or early 70s, I think. Maybe he is 76 years old. So I think to me that add to the cool factor, right? I mean, I don't mean for this to sound weird or funny, but here's a hero who's running around shooting people, saving people's lives, liberating the world from aliens and evil robots, and this is an old gay guy, right? I mean, that just like so cool on so many levels. I have to say, like Overwatch as a video game, they definitely were very liberal, very forward in their thinking to have something like this going on. Soldier 76 here was made by Hasbro. I don't even remember when. I think 2018, 2017, 2018, when Hasbro actually did a small Overwatch toy line. Excuse me as I keep talking. I'm just reposing him a little bit. Normally, I pause the camera when I do this, but uh, we are getting pretty late. I'm kind of trying to get through this without glitching, and also there has been a lot of glitches with the camera. And he just did you just do a face dive
Oh
on camera?
no.
I just finished telling everyone how badass you are. Like, yeah, the camera app I've been using, it's really glitchy. So I've been trying to not touch the bloody thing as much as I can uh, to minimize the chance of things glitching out. Why won't you stay standing? Got to be the weirdest episode. Uh, there. Yeah. So, like I said, this action figure was made by Hasbro, and you had to buy him in a two-pack. He came with another action figure by the name of Shrike, another old soldier. I believe we even did an episode on Shrike before. Um, because I remember talking about how cool it is that one of the best snipers in Overwatch was an old lady. That was like super cool. Um, so one thing I know this is not just me. I heard a lot of collectors complaining about it. Is Hasbro stillborn the line? I hate it when companies do that. Like when they say, okay, we're going to do Overwatch. Well, okay, if you want to do Overwatch, do the whole thing. Don't just do some of the good guys and maybe one bad guy and then quit. Like give us the whole thing. Otherwise, it's really hard to display these guys on the shelf. You know, like now I end up with an entire, almost the entire good guy team, although we are still missing a lot of people. Uh, and I only have like one bad guy for them to face off against, and it's like really weird. And even the bad guy they did, uh, Reaper, he's not exactly a bad guy in the costume he got. Like in the outfit they did, he it was when he was still a good guy, which means now we have the whole team of good guys and we have no bad guys to face off against them. And complaint number two is these guys, these Overwatch action figures, were made too small. I know he doesn't look that small. Like on camera, like he doesn't look too bad, right? But in a little bit, when we bring in other action figures for size comparison, you guys will see that these guys are way too small, especially proportion wise. His head is tiny. uh, and his hands and feet are huge. I, I mean, I understand that's how he was drawn in the video game. That's how that's the style of animation. But come on, when you make them into action figures, at least make an attempt to make them look normal. Otherwise, they display really weird with other figures on the shelf. Um, so those were the chief complaints. Aside from that, I will say I personally enjoyed the Overwatch toy line. I think I got everyone from that toy line. Maybe I'm missing one, but that one was an exclusive that you can only get her if you get her in a 4 pack. And I already had the other three, so I didn't want to get another, like a duplicate of those three just to get her. Uh, and then also by the time I realized that she was going to be in the 4 pack, I already knew that Hasbro was abandoning the line, so we were never going to get the complete team anyway.
Aw.
So yeah, yeah. So when you let me know you're not going to do the complete job, then I don't feel so inclined to spend money to complete the team on my shelf. Because it's going to be incomplete no matter what. Um, Now, this figure of Soldier 76, he is kind of fun to play around with because he has some really cool articulation. His shoulder actually do this butterfly articulation. Like if you put him on a butterfly press machine and do this like butterfly motion, that's pretty cool. His tiny little pinhead. I don't know why the head doesn't move that good. I mean, the articulation's there, the joint's there, like, but yeah, his head barely move. You can turn his head side to side. That's no problem. Um, but his arms, yeah, these arms got some really nice and tight joints on them. Um, Double jointed elbow. Does he have double jointed knee? Yeah, he has double jointed knee. Hips. You can almost do the full split. Can kick up pretty high, and his feet, his ankle articulation is pretty good. Like, if I was a kid, shut up, kitten.
You're so silly.
If I was a kid, this would be one of my favorite figures, like to play with. Like he's just like feel really solid, and you can get him into some really cool like badass poses. And you don't really have to worry about him breaking. You just have to worry about him tipping over all the time. Stay standing. Stop doing that. I think it's mostly this torso crunch articulation that's messing up my video, because this does kind of throw him off balance. It will throw him off balance even more when you put his weapon in his hand. Yeah, I didn't mention he comes with his weapon, did I? We'll get there. There's a little weird, like, waist articulation across his stomach, and you can, yeah, that actually works. So this guy has some really interesting, almost double jointed torso. Like, see, you can tilt this back, and yeah, you can almost fold him double. For an old guy, that's really, really impressive for
Yeah.
flexibility. um, in the package, he comes with like a pair of weapon holding hand, and then like you can switch those out for fists if you want your old soldier to punch someone out. But most people really weren't interested in the fist because Jack Morrison has always been a gun guy. He's a guy who shoots people. Doesn't really do the punchy thing. Although I'm pretty sure he can. Uh, Speaking of guns, here on his right hip there's this little pistol holstered there. And this thing pissed off so many people
Mhm.
because one thing that me included as action figure collectors, one big pet peeve is if you make a weapon on the action figure, like if you have an action figure with a knife strapped to his leg or a gun strapped to his leg, makes that fucking sorry, makes that like I said, it's big pet peeve. I wish I could believe that. Makes
Whoopsie.
that freaking gun removable so he can hold it in his hand.
That makes sense to me.
If you give them a knife on their leg or a knife on their belt, make that knife removable so they can pose with it.
Huh.
Don't just like make it part of the sculpture and then you see this gun there, you see this knife there, but you can't do anything with it. It's really frustrating. Okay, this is the kind of thing that was done in I don't even know, like 1985. Okay, 1985, this was okay. 2020 is not okay. Right? 2020, we should already know how to make guns and knives that can be taken out of the holster and sheath. Uh, so yeah, he does have that little pistol there, but you can't count that as his weapon because he can't hold it. Uh, Luckily, he does come with his main weapon in the game. He uses this pulse laser rifle thingy uh, that can fire rockets and grenades and do all kind of cool stuff. Uh, and he does come with that. Uh, Now, this thing, I'm going to hold on to him because I know the moment I let go, he's going to dive off the freaking counter. I'm going to spend the next 2 hours looking for that gun. Happened to me all the time during Toy Thursday. Um, he can hold this pretty well in one hand like this, but because it's a large weapon, it's a pretty large weapon, so it's a little bit annoying that he can't really get a good two-hand hold on it. I mean, if I fiddle around with him long enough, I can probably get a two-hand grip to work. What you want to do is you want to bring his shoulder out a little bit, so bring his elbow up, and then do sort of like have his other hand extended so he can look like he's supporting the weight of the weapon across his chest and turn his waist a little bit and that will give you kind of a more realistic looking firing pose. But yeah, it does take a bit of fiddling. And this gun, because of the, let me take it out of his hand so I can show you guys. This gun, uh, stop falling over. I'm trying to talk about your gun, damn it. Oh, that just sounded really gay. Uh, this, this is not my day. This gun, this gun is, have a really weird looking handle. Like, it has like, shoulder, uh, what do you call these things? Like a brace, shoulder stock. Yeah, shoulder stock. Yeah, I know what gun parts are. Shoulder stock. And the shoulder stock has this piece that connect to the grip of the gun, and then there's a thing like hand guard in front of the whole like hand grip thingy. So this thing look cool. I'm sure if this was a real weapon, it would handle fine. But trying to get this thing into the hand of an action figure is really frustrating because you need to get this pretty much this center piece into his pretty small, well, grip. His hands are really big, but the grip is kind of wonky. So trying to work this into the hand. I'm doing this off camera, so it's so I don't keep knocking things over. So you gotta try to like wiggle this into his hand, and it's really frustrating because he doesn't want to hold on to it. Um, this is one of those things where I almost didn't want to show the character in video because it takes me so long to get him to hold the bloody thing properly. And for the video, I have to take it out of his hand. And now I know it's going to take me like ages to work it back into his hand. But hey, everything for you guys, right? That's how special you guys are. Um, yeah, yeah. Now that with a little bit of bullying and forcing, I'm able to get him to hold it. But as you guys can see, he is having problem balancing already because of how big this weapon is. And this is not even the worst because one of the cool things that Hasbro did was they included a piece that you can plug into the front of his gun to look like it just fired a rocket.
Oh, wow.
So it's super cool. There's no denying that. Uh, but let me show you guys a piece attachment first. Okay, this is what it looked like. Okay. Uh, three rockets shooting from the barrel of the gun, and like with this kind of a curly Q smoke trail. Really, really cool. Okay, this is like really cool effect. I hope, I wish that all action figures that have guns come with things like that. That just like adds so much on the display when you put them on display. But once you plug this into the barrel of the gun, um, I have to take the gun out of his hand because it's really hard to work with trying to plug that thing in. And now that I got the effect piece into the gun, I of course have to fight with getting the gun back in his hand again.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a very frustrating action figure when you're trying to get his weapon to go into his hand. There's no doubt about that. It's just like really really frustrating. Uh, okay, so now as you guys see, we got the smoke trail rocket coming out of his gun, and he's definitely not going to stand. Okay, like he already had problem balancing at the best of times. You add a giant gun in his hand, and then a smoke effect like this coming out of it, and the gun is like drooping like crazy. And yeah, it's hard to get him to do this right. It's really difficult. So while the weapon is cool, the smoke effect is really cool. It's something that you have to sort of take into consideration. It's going to make this guy extremely hard to pose. And this is one of those things where you probably want to just grab a action figure display stand and stick him on there and call it a day. Uh, Now we're going to bring in a couple of action figures for size comparison. Since we had Shang-Chi, we might as well start with Shang-Chi. So we have Shang-Chi here with Soldier 76, and immediately it's apparent that, I mean, Shang-Chi is not supposed to be huge. And he's not. He is like a very standard 6-inch tall guy. But Soldier 76, I mean, come on, this guy's a super soldier. He's like genetically modified. I know he's an old gay guy. Okay, no joke, but he's still like he's a big guy. He's supposed to be a big guy. But standing next to Shang-Chi, I mean, he just looked the same size, and And if you look at their head, the size of their head, it's crazy how small these Overwatch guys' head are. It's just ridiculous. Again, I know that's the style of the animation, but uh, something should have been corrected there because this does not look good on a toy. Uh, Now we'll bring in another super soldier. You guys know that I like to use Captain America, and we'll do a size comparison there.
That's right.
Here we have Soldier 76 back to back with Captain America, and the size difference is so apparent. Like they don't even look like they belong in the same 6-inch scale. Uh, and again, let me grab these two, and we're going to just do a quick, weird little head size comparison. Look at that! Look at that! Look at the size on these guys. Captain America head, Soldier 76 tiny head. Like honestly, Soldier 76 head smaller than Captain America's boots.
That's creepy.
Like look at that. Yeah, yeah. It's just like really weird. Um, so while these guys are, I would say they're kind of fun. They're fun toys on their own, which problematic because when a lot of us like to display our figures with other figures, not like have a shelf just for these guys. But in the case of Overwatch, I had to just get a uh, shelf just for them alone because they don't look good with anyone else. So that's it for today. We have an old soldier who is gay and who is really badass, who had problems standing up, problem holding onto his weapon. There's a lot of things that should have been done better, but that's not the fault of the character. The character is very cool. And again, happy Guam Liberation Day, happy SpaceX Day, and uh, happy International Chess Day if you guys play chess. I'll be back again tomorrow for some Fitness Friday. For now, have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.